exactly why we need the Employee Free Choice Act. As you know, it guarantees that when a majority of employees where you work sign a card and say, I want a union, you get your union, period. Wouldn't that be a dream come true? As I said, I'm preaching to the choir because each of you here is committed to making sure that we pass the Employee Free Choice Act. Jobs with Justice is at the center of that fight with us. I also want to pay tribute to a man that I met a few years ago when he was running for United States Senator. And you may tell Senator Brown that I said this. I'd never met him before. And I went on was it the bus express? We went to so many little cities all over Ohio, and I got a chance to meet him, and he was so down to earth. I mean, he was just like one of us, and he didn't act like he was above anybody. And he's been the strongest supporter that we have. When we had a reception for him in Washington, D.C., and we had all these new senators that were elected in 2006, and we're all applauding them, he gets up to the stage, and he gives a speech. If I hadn't known who he was, I would have thought he was an organizer for the AFL-CIO or for a union somewhere, because he gave one of the best speeches, and he didn't say anything other than thank you, and this is why we need unions, and this is how we're going to get better unions. And I mean, he went into the speech, and everybody standing around and said, who is that guy? Who is that guy? I said, that's the new senator that I helped to elect from Ohio. He has been that great a supporter. I wish whatever he eats or drinks, we could feed it to some of the other senators in Washington, D.C. We're down to the wire on this one, I think all of us know. I mean, it is now that we need to push. We're insisting that there be three things in the bill. First, to guarantee that workers have a real choice to form a union, free from intimidation, free from harassment, free from threats. Second, it has to put a stop once and for all to all of the endless delays and all of the stalling tactics that companies are using every day to stop the clear choices of a majority of workers. I think some of you heard about the Avondale case. They won their union, not once, not twice, but several times. And after 5 years, they still didn't have a union contract. Grinnell came in and bought it, told the union supporters, he said, they told him, you have 2 weeks to sign up everybody, and we'll give you a union contract. So the AFL-CIO was prepared. I mean, we said, hey, we're going to send in 100 organizers. We're going to have unions send us. And you know what the worker says is, don't worry, we'll take care of this. Within the 2-week period of time, they had more than the majority and turned in the cards and got their union contract. But it took 5 years. It took 5 years. And we don't need to talk about the kind of penalties that employers get, do we? Slap on the wrist is probably the worst that they get. The truth is that the Employee Free Choice Act is already one of the biggest moral struggles that you and I are ever going to have. And you know what? If I can live long enough to see a Latina woman nominated to be a Supreme Court justice, then long enough that we're going to pass the Employee Free Choice Act. We know that. If anybody knows Paul Gordon, don't tell him I went off script, okay? He writes wonderful speeches, but the rest will be just for me. I've spent 40 years of my life in the labor movement. There were many, many, many times in my life that I went through that because I was a woman, because I was a Latina, because I was supposed to be home, because I was acting like a man. Name it, it was thrown at me. One year I had anonymous letters anonymously sent to every public agency that I represented in the city, My nicknames were Liver Lips, Political Clout, whatever names I was called. And there were a few choice names that I was called. One of them I was very proud of, Pushy Broad, was one of them. But many, many a time, there were days when I said, I can't take this anymore. It's, why am I doing this? Why is my daughter literally raising herself on her own? Because I was spending 14, 15 hours on the job, organizing, representing people, and she threw it up in my face. She said, you love the union more than you love me. And at the age of 15, she stopped going to the union parties because she figured out that stuffing envelopes and licking them and you know, putting them in bundles. Remember how we used to bundle them by zip code? Was not a union party. A real party, she figured it out all by herself. And I have now a beautiful, wonderful daughter who, when I decided to run for this position, we were on the phone and I was crying and I said, you know, if I win, I might have to move to Washington, D.C. And I'm crying and she's crying and she says, Mom, and this is after a great struggle with her because she loved me, I loved her, but she says, I don't want to hear nothing about the union. For 7 years, from the age of 15 to 22, she didn't want anything to do with the union. She joined the union when she worked for the city, but that was it. She says, Mom, you know, you got your life, I love you, union's not good for me. At the age of 22, she comes home and she says, Mom, you know that the people that are transferred over to the aviation department, they don't know that their supervisor isn't supposed to yell at them in front of other people? They don't know that they have a 30-day time limit to file a grievance? And I told them, my mom is going to come here and my mom is going to organize you. And this beautiful daughter, when I told her about my coming to Washington, was crying and said, Mom, you got to do it. And I said, yeah, but you know, it's a new job, it might not pass, I might not win. She says, Mom, you always win. She says, but Mom, wouldn't it be great for you to go to Washington and do all the good things for people all over the country like you've done for us here in San Antonio? I will tell you that still brings tears to my eyes because she's now the wonderful mother of both of my grandkids. And she is a terrific mom. I don't know, I must have done something right for her to be like that. But we have special people in our lives who measure who we are and what we do. Whether it's our grandkids, our children, our parents, our whoever we love and who love us, who don't, you know, they don't ask questions, they don't ask anything about you, they love you for who you are and what you are. But this labor movement has given me so much that until I've got one foot in the ground, I will continue to fight for the rights of workers. We will have the Employee Free Choice Act. We are going to win this fight because it's the right fight, it's the right thing to do, and the labor movement and the community that we live in is going to help us to do it. Sisters and brothers, thank you so much for inviting me.